Hi again, second graders. Let's look at a couple more sentences. This time we have that new proper noun part that we talked about, the abbreviations or the titles. And so we want to make sure that we're looking at those, adding capital letters where they're needed, and punctuation or periods after any of those abbreviations. So let's look at our first sentence. Did Mr. Lane chop the wood into logs for the fireplace yesterday? So, how many nouns? Let's first look for the nouns. How many nouns do you see in this sentence? I see four nouns. Let's see if you found the same nouns that I did. Well, going back to that beginning of the sentence, we know, of course, every sentence has to begin with a capital letter. So let's go ahead and cross off that D. We're going to make that a capital D because it's the beginning of a sentence. The first noun that we come across in this sentence is Mr. Lane. Mr. Lane names a person. Is this a specific name, a proper noun, or is this a general name, just any person, common noun? So this names a specific person. If we are looking for Mr. Lane, we can look for a specific person. Now, Mr. Lane is his entire name. Mr. is that title. So we know that he is a man. We don't know if he's married or unmarried, but we know he's a man. So we need capital letters on both. We need the M on Mr. needs to be capital, as well as the L on Lane. And what else do we need to add to Mr. to make sure that we are showing that it's an abbreviation? Right after the R, we need to add that period to show that Mr. is an abbreviation for the longer word. So it's the shortened word. The next noun that I see in the sentence is the word wood. Wood is the name of a thing. Wood is a thing. Is this a general name or is this a specific name? This is just a general name. We don't know what wood they're talking about. Wood is a common noun. Is this a singular common noun or is this a plural common noun? This one's tricky because when we see wood, we don't see an S, we don't see an ES, and the word didn't change. But when we think about what that means, did Mr. Lane chop the wood into logs? So are we thinking it's just one piece of wood or is it more than one piece of wood that is going to be made into logs? This one's tricky. It probably is a plural because wood can mean a whole pile of wood or it can just mean one. But since they're making logs, I'm thinking that it's probably a plural noun. Speaking of that, we kind of gave it away. Logs is our next noun. Logs, does that name a common thing or is that a proper thing, a specific name for something? Yep, logs, kind of like wood, is just a common noun. It doesn't name a specific log. And then I do notice, as we talked about, that it has that S on the end. So logs, we wouldn't say one logs, we would say one log or two logs. This is a plural noun. And our last noun in this sentence is fireplace. Fireplace is the name of a thing. Fireplace, does that name a specific noun or is that just a general noun? Yep, this is a common noun. It just names a general thing that somebody would have in their house, a fireplace, or out in their backyard. So, fireplace is a common noun. Would fireplace name one or more than one? Is this going to be singular or plural? Fireplace. That's just one. We would have one fireplace or one or two fireplaces. So if it was more than one, we would have to add that S on the end. And then, of course, we know that every sentence has to end with punctuation. Listen to this sentence again. Did Mr. Lane chop the wood into logs for the fireplace yesterday? What do you notice about this sentence? Is it telling or is it asking? It's asking a question. It's asking, did he chop the wood? They want an answer back to that so we know it's a question. So this has to have a question mark since it is asking a question. Did Mr. Lane chop the wood into logs for the fireplace yesterday? Our next sentence. Mrs. Jefferson placed 3 pies on the shelves in the kitchen for Miss Craft on Sunday. Go ahead and look through that sentence and see how many nouns you think there are. I came up with 6 nouns this time. Let's see if you found all 6. So our first word, Mrs. Jefferson. Mrs. Jefferson is a noun. It's naming a person. So we need to make sure, because it's a proper noun, that it has a capital letter on both. What is another reason that Mrs. would have a capital letter? Of course, because that's the beginning of a sentence. So let's go ahead and change that lowercase m to a capital M and that lowercase j to a capital J, Mrs. Jefferson. What else do we have to do to Mrs. since it's the title of her name? You have to add that period. Mrs. is one of the abbreviations. It's short. It's a shortened form of the word Mrs. And so we have to have that period. Mrs. Jefferson is our first proper noun. Our next noun in this sentence is pies. Pies name things, right? Pies are things that we eat. Does it name a specific pie or does it name a general type of pie? Of course, it is a general, right? It's not a specific name of a pie, so it is a common noun. I do notice that it has an S on the end. If I was only talking about one, it would be one pie. I also see that it has that word 3 in front of it, so it's already telling you that it's more than one. So pies is a plural common noun. The next noun that's in the sentence, Mrs. Jefferson placed 3 pies on the shelves. Shelves is our next noun. Shelves names a thing, right? Shelf is something, a thing in your house. Is it naming a specific thing or a general thing? It is a general thing, right? It's not a specific shelf. So shelves has VES, and we learned in one of our previous lessons that if we add VES to the end of a word, it's probably the plural of a word that had an F, right? So one shelf with an F, but since it's more than one shelf, it's shelves, we change that F to a V and add ES. So shelves is a plural common noun. Our next noun is kitchen. Kitchen is the name of a place. Is kitchen naming a specific name of a kitchen, or is it just naming a place? It is just a general name for a place, so it is a common noun. Are we talking about one kitchen or more than one kitchen? We are talking about one kitchen. We would have an S, right? One kitchen or 2 kitchens. So since it doesn't have an S on the end, it is just one singular common noun. Our next noun is Miss Craft. Miss Craft is the name of a person. Is Miss Craft a specific name of a specific person, or is it a general name of any person? It is a specific name of a specific person. So we know that Miss has to have a capital M and Craft has to have a capital C. Do we need to do anything else to Miss before we move on? Does it need a period like Mrs. did? It does not. Miss is not the shortened word. It is not an abbreviation of a longer word for miss. So it does not require a period after the S. So Miss Craft is a proper noun with a capital M and a capital C. Finally, our last noun in this sentence is Sunday. Sunday is the name of a thing. It is the name of a day, right? Is it a specific name of a day or is it just the general term for a day? It's, of course, naming a very specific day of the week. And so that is a proper noun. It must have a capital S. So we're going to cross out that S and make it capital. And finally, our sentence has to have punctuation at the end. Mrs. Jefferson placed 3 pies on the shelves in the kitchen for Miss Kraft on Sunday. Are we asking a question or are we just telling something? They're just telling us about Mrs. Jefferson and Miss Kraft, so we have to add just a period at the end. Don't forget, if you have Mrs., Mr., or Ms., not only does it have to have a capital letter, it also has to have a period. If you're using Miss, it's a capital letter, but no period.